So let's not get too proud of ourselves, Joshana. So, you know, whatever. If that counts or not, per your opinion, I'm counting it. Oh, delicious. F***ing hated the second book. I'm not continuing. Well, hello. Welcome back to my channel. Joshana here to talk about some friggin' book series. I realized that I hadn't done this all year. I thought I had, but no. It appears that the last time I did my series situation, check-in was September of 2023. So I figured, getting toward the end of the year, figured it was a good time to pop in here with an official little series situation update, where I'm at, which ones I've completed, which ones I'm caught up with, which ones I have DNF'd, all that fun stuff. Especially because this year I have been doing my series TBR whole thing, which was inspired by Penny over at Penelope the Paperback Cat. Definitely go check her out. I will link her down below. But yeah, she started doing this type of thing and I was inspired. And so trying to get the series TBR under control, because it was way more than I previously had thought. When I actually went through my Storycraft TBR and any that were part of a series, yeah, it's a long fucking list. So, but I'm not going to talk about all the ones that are on my TBR today. We're just talking about the ones caught up with, DNF'd, completed, etc. So how many I was in the middle of last year when I was watching that video, it looked like it was about 24, I want to say. Yeah, I think it was 24. And currently, right now, as of November 17th, 2024, I am in the middle of 33, which makes sense because, like I said, I went through and looked at what my actual series situation was, and there were more that I was kind of in the middle of or in progress on than I had thought. My goal this year was to finish 5, and I actually have finished 5. And I don't believe that there's any other ones that I will finish this year. I don't think so. I'm looking at the ones that are fully published that I could. Oh, no, I lied. There's one more that I will finish because the third and final book just came out and I just got it. And there actually is a second one that I could finish, but that one I don't even know if it is finished. I'm thinking of the Part of Your World series by Abby Jimenez. That one I have just for the summer. I don't know if there's going to be more in that world, but in that series. And then the other one I was talking about is what is it called? The Burning Kingdom series by Tasha Suri. The Lotus Empire is the third book. Just came out. I've got it ready to start soon. So definitely one more. I will have completed 6 by the end of the year, maybe 7. So how many I am in progress with right now is 23. So that's how many are there's other books in the series that I could read. Whether the series is completed or not, I'm not caught up with it and it is not completed and I'm not completed. I have additional books available to me to read in the series. There's 23 of those. And then there's 10 that I am caught up with. 10 series that there are no more books to read, but it is not completed yet, right? So that 23 plus 10 is where we get the 33 that I'm in the middle of. And this year so far, I have officially DNF'd 7 series. Oh yeah, at the start of the year, I had 20 on my how many to start as far as my series TBR. And like I said, that's horribly incorrect because when we actually look at it, there's 145 series on my series TBR to potentially read. But that's why I'm doing that kind of vlog style, try a chapter to just, cut out some. And I have cut out some. I think there's been, 4 or 5 different series so far from doing that project that I've just been yeah, no, let's get it out of here. Which is why I'm doing that, because that's so many. And that's just the nature of reading, fantasy and anything in any fantasy genre, and a lot of even contemporary romance genres too, but definitely fantasy. If you're a fantasy reader, there's going to be a fucking bajillion series on your TBR. 20, ha ha ha, Joshana. So let's list out, I'll show you the covers, do that whole thing of the ones I've completed, the ones I've caught up on, and the ones that I've DNF'd. So the ones I have officially completed, and this one I'm pretty proud because I started and finished it this year. It's a duology, So let's not get too proud of ourselves, Joshana. For me, I'm proud. And that is the Manifold Wars series by Foz Meadows. I have a couple copies, but I'll put them up here. And I'm very excited because the copies I do have, I have 2 copies of the first book and 1 of the second book, and none of them match. However, I learned that there is going to be, this one right here is a reprint and re-edited version of the first book, and Angry Robot Books is publishing one to match, I believe, in the second book. So I'm gonna have a complete set that matches. I'm so excited. Oh my God. But yeah, this series is definitely like epic, high fantasy, portal fantasy, a very queer, normative world. And we have our main character is a girl, a teenager who is in our modern Earth world, whatever, and she sees a portal open up outside of her school, and she sees a woman walk through it, and she follows her through it, and things ensue from there. Very, very fantastical. I was engrossed with this. And this was a series that for some reason, when I finished it, there wasn't any particular character that I was like, I'm gonna die for them. I love them. Like, you know, Alexia Terabati style, favorite of all time, like character. But I just really liked them all. It was very rich. It was a rich world, rich character development, just lots to sink your fucking teeth into thematically, everything. And just, I don't know, I realized I really like some portal fantasy, and I just ate this up, and I was like affected by it. Like I finished it and like couldn't stop thinking about it, you know? So love that for me. New favorite series of all time. And then I finally finished the Rise and Fall trilogy by Michael J. Sullivan, finishing up with Esarhaddon, which wasn't my favorite of the series, but I just love, it's part of the world of Elon, and I just love the world of Elon by Michael J. Sullivan. I thoroughly enjoyed the series, love it. And then the Ending Fire trilogy by Sara El-Arifi. Right here are the special editions of this from Goldsboro Books. Down here are the regular ones. The Final Strife, The Battle Drum, and the final book was The Ending Fire. Once again, kind of like, not disappointing, a little disappointing third book. I still loved it. I still love the series overall. But yeah, that third book was a little like it didn't hit as much as the first 2. It was not an easy 5 stars or anything, so, but I still liked it. It wasn't horribly disappointing. It didn't ruin the series for me. And then Middle West by Scotty Young and Jorge Corona is the illustrator. I really, really enjoyed that. I had read the first volume last year, I think, but then I just bought the complete and I just started it from the beginning because it's a graphic novel series. But I just really liked it. I don't know. I think it's young adult geared as far as the audience, but there's some dark shit in it. And I don't know. I really liked the illustrations too. The art style was really cool. And I had a good time with it. And then The Diviners by Libba Bray. I read The King of Crows pretty recently, finishing up that quartet. And I read the first 3 books pretty much back to back, I think, last fall. So it took me a little while to get to the 4th one, and partially because the 3rd one was slightly disappointing for me. And then the 4th one did end up being kind of disappointing as well. I loved the first book and the second book. And then I just felt kind of lukewarm about the 3rd, and then kind of was like, about the 4th one. But, you know, glad I read it. I don't regret reading the series. I still really enjoyed it. And the ones I'm caught up on, again, this is just where there currently is not a next book in the series out. Most of these are, I just read the first book. So, you know, whatever. If that counts or not, per your opinion, I'm counting it. First one is The Last Legacy series by James Logan. The first book being Silver Blood Promise. Quite enjoyed it. It's kind of fun, adventure, fantasy. Good times. Twig by Scotty Young and Kyle Strom. This, I've been told that this is done, but then I've seen, I think on his website or some of his social media for Scotty Young, that there are going to be more. I don't know. So this one, maybe I'm done with it, but I think there's gonna be more. Feybound by Sara El-Arifi. I was highly anticipating this one because of loving the Ending Fire trilogy. Definitely the first 2 books anyway. This one is much more like fantasy romance, and it was weird because it kind of felt like it was written by a different person a little bit, but it was very entertaining still. I didn't like love all the elements of it. It definitely was much more romance focused, and I didn't love how the romances panned out or how they were done exactly. Parts of it felt a little like juvenile-ish, or I don't know. There's just something about it. Wasn't my favorite, but I'm gonna continue with the series and see where it goes. So this next one is very, I don't know. I might change my mind and just DNF this, but the series is Scarlet by Genevieve Cogman. The first book being Scarlet. It was quick read, fantasy, vampires in like Napoleon era France. And there were elements, again, that I quite enjoyed. But once I finished it, it's kind of been going out of my brain. And that's kind of why I'm like, should I just DNF it? Like, do I care that much? But once again, it's another one that I read through it pretty quickly. It was entertaining enough where I'm gonna try the second book at least, I think. From there, I'll make a decision. The Forever Desert by Moses Ose Utomi. And this is a series of novellas. The first one being The Lies of the Ajungo, and the second one being The Truth of the Aleke. And I liked the first one more than the second one, but I am going to continue. I want this author to write a full-length novella because I really do enjoy his world building, and mostly I enjoy the characters. It's just novellas. Novellas are novellas, and they don't, I'm not the reader for novellas usually, but I do really enjoy these. So I'm gonna continue, and I'm definitely gonna keep my eyes on any future full-length novels from this author if he ever writes one. The Nameless Republic by Sui Davies Okungbawa. This one was so disappointing, the second book. The first book, Son of the Storm, I freaking loved. I gave it 5 stars. And I don't know if the second book, Warrior of the Wind, if I was just like not in the mood for it. It was middle book syndrome. Like hardcore, in my opinion. Middle book syndrome. I kind of slogged through it, but I'm pretty sure it's just going to be a trilogy, so there's one more book. And because of loving the first book so much, I'm definitely going to try the third book. And maybe someday when I reread, I'll like the second book more upon reread. Maybe I was just in a weird headspace. We shall see. And then The Falcon and the Nightingale series by Stephen Arion. I'm very excited. The third and final book comes out pretty early next year. Love that for me. Because I enjoyed the first book, The Judas Blossom. I liked it. I liked it more as it very much felt like build up. And the beginning, I was kind of like, okay, I don't know. But by the end, I liked the characters, and then the real fantasy elements started coming in because it's historical fantasy. But the fantasy, like magical elements, didn't start coming in till towards the end. And oh my God, I love it so much. And the second book, oh, loved it. Like 5 stars, so good. The fantasy elements, oh, delicious. Love it so much. I'm very, very excited for the third book. And actually, I gotta change this list because this one is actually one that I'm DNFing. So I'll skip over it. We'll come back to it. The next one for Caught Up With is The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. And I think I read all 4 of these this year, right? I'm pretty sure. Definitely the second, third, and fourth one. I quite enjoyed this. There's one more book from what I've seen online that's going to be coming out next year. I will pick that up. I think The Bullet That Missed, the third one, is the one I liked the most that I do plan on purchasing a copy of to reread in the future. It's just like cozy kind of mystery, couple of old folks that are buddies living in an old folks home. One of them's an ex-spy though, and just solving murders. And it's fun, and I enjoy the British, like, dry wit, humor, clever writing. It's very funny a lot of the time. Also very emotional, though. The last 2 books, the most recent book in particular, very emotional, and yeah, very enjoyable. Enjoyable, good times. Nice to break up the fantasy shit. And then The Old Guard by Greg Rucka. This, I don't know when book 3 is going to be coming out, but I will be snatching it up real quick. Right now, just books 1 and 2 are out, and then there is like a short story or like shorts, like kind of compilation that's available that I haven't read that yet. But, and that's just because my library doesn't have it and I would have to buy a copy, which I probably will at some point because I love this series. It's graphic novels and it's definitely fantasy with like eternal beings, basically. Not literally, but pretty much. They're healing. They pretty much cannot die. And I just, oh God, I love it so much. I watched the movie first, the Netflix movie, and I heard someone left a comment when I talked about this series before that the second movie is finally coming out. It's been like so many years. So fucking excited. Oh, I cannot wait. I hope it happens. Cannot wait. And okay, so those are the actually 9 books that I'm caught up with. And the ones that I DNF'd. The one I skipped, Tales of the Plains by David Ragg. I read The Hunters and The Company of the Wolf, and I quite enjoyed elements of them. The characters are great. The characters are super awesome. I love them, the 2 main characters. And the thing with me is just the plot and the pacing. Mostly the pacing is why I just decided after reading the second book that I don't think I'll continue. Because it's just not exactly for me. I think there's a wide audience for it. I think it's underhyped. I think a lot of people probably would really like it, who are more character-driven readers than me. But for me, I just, like, I'm okay. Here's a couple that I just read the first book and decided to DNF. Earthsinger Chronicles by L. Penelope. The first book being Song of Blood and Stone, DNF'd that. The Mortal Techniques by Rob J. Hayes. The first book being Never Die. These were from before. Why do I have these on here? Oh no, okay, yeah. There's a couple here that I had on my list last year as like planning to continue that I now this year, I didn't read anything new in the series, but I've just made the decision to DNF the series. So I was confused for a second, but that's why. The next one being the Sand Sea Trilogy by Chelsea Abdullah. The first book was The Stardust Thief. And yeah, I just decided I don't really care. And then The Aurelian Cycle by Rosaria Munda. I only read the first book, Fireborn, and there are just elements of it so angsty between the 2 main characters, driving me crazy. So yeah, I made the decision to just be done with that one. And then Crescent City series by Sarah J. Maas. Love the first book, will reread the first book, still have a copy of it. Fucking hated the second book. I'm not continuing. I'm not reading the third one. And then one that I tried, Symphony of Ages, the first trilogy by Elizabeth Hayden. Yes, Hayden. Rhapsody being the first book. I quite enjoyed it, but then I DNF'd the second book, Prophecy, and I shan't continue. And then I tried this one, Cloud of Sparrows is the first book, which I DNF'd in the Samurai series by Takashi Matsuoka. DNFing that one as well. And there we have it, all of the series that so far this year I have either completed, caught up with, or chosen to DNF. Let me know if you have read any of these, if you feel completely differently from me, if you think I'm making a horrible life choice by DNFing any of the ones I talked about. As always, thank you so much for your time. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.